Welcome to Rauta's Underground Trio. Once again, we have three different albums of three different kinds, I could say. We have, three different genres and at least two different parts of the world. We have something from Italy and a couple of bands from Finland. Let's first go through them in alphabetical order, which I guess puts us with this one first, because it's the Chamberlain Draconian Magick, a black metal release from Finland, a debut album by a rather new band. Then we have Deathox, or like some people could be making jokes, Deathox with a wordplay, Hallucinations. This is from Italy, thrash metal. And then we have a newcomer act, Steel Systems from Finland, Burn to Rock, classic heavy metal. Now, if we now put them into the order of worst to best, we'll start, or rather go back to Steel Systems. This is a very new band, meaning there are no previous releases if you just choose to ignore the singles, which are, I think, taken from this release. I didn't, to be honest, pay attention what are those single names because, frankly said, not interesting enough in the scope for this review. Why? Because, well, singles are singles usually related to rather different kind of release. And this one is a CDR, by the way, homemade very much, even giving the smell here. So my point here is, this is the real first release by the given band. And self-financed disease, as you can pretty much figure out from the CDR. And 5 tracks, meaning this is technically speaking a demo of sorts. I guess officially the band decides to call it EP, but when you combine the fact it's self-financed, it's 5 tracks, MCD length, well, technically speaking, it is exactly how the demos back in the day were. You know, the self-financed stuff, and often in CDR format. So this one is heavy metal the kind of a classic ways, meaning you obviously have clean vocals, you have rather traditional 1980s and 90s kind of heavy metal riffing, not exactly the old school 70s stuff, but definitely the kind of taps into the worlds of, you know, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest and the stuff. And as such, this is pretty tame version. There is like a lack of danger present. I mean, nothing here is like, hey, let's now kick something out of the door or the room or whatever, meaning it's pretty safe. It's almost like the guys are like holding themselves back, like don't get too wild, don't get weird screams, don't have the punchy sound, and don't do anything dangerous. It feels like if heavy metal wanted to really be safe but a little bit heavier than just rock and roll, this would be it. Now, fundamentally nothing wrong with that, but it kind of feels like, why not go further? Why not just push a little bit more the gas pedal and just let it go? Because now it's almost like, we want to do this very, very safe and sound and challenge nothing, push nothing, and as such, it's a little bit dull. The vocalist is pretty basic, could be a lot better, but also could be a lot worse. I mean, I have heard heavy metal albums where the vocalist cannot really sing, and that's horrible. This at least can do that. And when it comes to the actual songs, they're pretty listenable, but the more I gave it spins, the more boring it started to feel. And that's not really a good sign when we're talking about some 22 minutes or whatever as the total length. While that is nothing bad with that release as such, it's a very, very mediocre release at this point. So I guess the band really needs to sharpen their bullets and, well, not bullets maybe, but you know, the nails at least. Add some bullets to it, some gasoline, some booze, some danger element, and it's good to go. So, at this point, very, very much work in progress, the demo level. The second band, like I mentioned, is from Italy. This is a one-man project using session musicians and second album. I say one-man because at least that's the information I got from, you know, Metal Archives, meaning there's like supposed to be one key member in the band and the rest are more like maybe hand-picked mercenaries or whatever, but yeah. I don't know if this has changed since, because sometimes Metal Archives does have rather outdated information, and at least for what it's worth, this album seems to have a little bit more, you know, on the booklet. This seems, again, a CD or release, but here's the picture of the booklet, and it says that this Becky the guy here is the main man, and the others are the added lineup. But like I said, I would take it with a grain of salt with that Metal Archives information, so maybe this is actually a real lineup and not just a mercenary one. What does matter really is that, is this thrash metal any good? Technically speaking, they're doing their thrash metal just fine. I mean, they have the rather punchy sound and, you know, decent vocals for the given style. They do understand what thrash metal is supposed to sound. But let me tell you, everything else here is more like, yes, very much work in progress. Much like Steel Systems, but a little bit ahead of them, even though that obviously genre style is different. The thing here is, while they do understand how thrash metal riffs are supposed to sound, how the production is supposed to kick ass and all that stuff, I could not help but wonder, like, what if this band actually had better songs? Because now everything is like, it goes in, it comes out. And after what it is like, where are the hit songs? Where are the great riffs? Where are these great chorus parts? You know, the ones that made the big four as big they are. We're talking about the Metallicas, Megadeths, creators, but Slayers, and all that stuff. Even if you're comparing this to the German style, Creator, Destruction, Sodom, whatever, this isn't exactly challenging them. So it's more like you have the basics, you have the knowledge how thrash metal is supposed to be, but there's so many bands which actually do it way more aggressive and also catchy. And this really has neither. So I hope the next step would be add some aggression, add some catchiness, add some memorability, and there you go. Which leads us back to Finland. The Chamberlain, a band or almost like a side project that started in 2023. Now here with the debut album. This features a few guys from a band called Norhem, which is a little bit older black metal band from Finland. And as such, there are some similarities, but this is its own entity. I'm just getting the side project vibe because a few of these members actually play Norhem or Astus, some even both. So certain guitar parts, melodies, kind of gives you a little bit of that Norhem feeling. However, this main man here, taking keyboards, guitars, vocals, main job, is not at least the main part of Norhem. He has connection and all that stuff, so maybe there are some differences. However, this lineup is, I think, 3 main guys in the band, and because I'm assuming not just one guy does it all, or at least the other guys can affect the music, that might be the thing why this has a little bit Norhem feeling to it. But this is more like symphonic black metal. Think about the early Emperor, think about the Vargrov and the like, where keyboards play a big role in the 90s kind of style of black metal. And that's where you get it. Sure, some parts are actually more like Gothenburg melodic metal style, but overall, with the screamy vocals and such, this is definitely in the black metal territory. And to my surprise, it's actually very good of an album. I mean, I was expecting something, you know, way typical, way more lukewarm experience. Why? First of all, I think the cover is not exactly very beautiful. I get it. This is some fantasy-related black metal, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are lots of great black metal releases related to that. But I get this little bit homebrew feeling from it. And being a debut album, I was a little bit scared that maybe it's just one of those try-hard, bands which are trying to figure out what they want to do, but are not there yet. Luckily, the experience seeps through the cracks and all, and this actually sounds good. It's not like it's Emperor copy, but there is some similarities. Quite a bit of the same feeling as, early on Emperor's career before it went to avant-garde or experimental of like that. But it isn't even like the Nightside Eclipse copycat. No, there are clear differences. Some ideas might actually put you in the different parts of Norwegian symphonic or keyboard-infested black metal. Maybe the bands like Odium and the like. But maybe I'm just thinking myself and I don't know. So, but bottom line is, there are lots of interesting keyboard parts which go hand in hand with the melodic guitar metal riffs, and they are catchy. All the songs are nicely made, and the production is very fitting for this kind of music. The vocals are more like the high, top, screamy stuff rather than the low-end raspiness, and it's actually quite refreshing since there are not too many bands that go so screamy these days. I'm more always been the kind of raspy fans, especially think about like old Satyricon or Darkthrone. But I do have a soft spot for these kind of screams when it's properly executed, and this is exactly what's happening with this one. So like I said, I was positively surprised. This is one of the best albums so far 2025, which kind of is now understandable because of the overlapping with the Norheim stuff, and their album is, one of the better ones also. Pretty much on the same level as that one. So funny, coming from the same label, partially from the same guys as well. So all in all, a good album. Obviously, links are provided in the description box, so start clicking for the bands you like, and you will also find their social media pages respectively. So click in the description box and you will find them, and if you don't know how to do it because you're watching maybe this on TV, just use your smartphone or other devices to do your Googling magic and you will find it. Now, go enjoy, take care.